Hey guys, welcome to a new video for the channel. New video guys, new video. Today we have quite a different video. The thing is that the Rolling Stones just released their new list of the best debut albums of all time. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not a fan of the Rolling Stones lists. The thing is that they often grab some of the most mainstream and generic music and mix it with the old classics or even new classics. You only have to check out their latest top 500 albums of all time, with Drake and Taylor Swift being the top 100, and not even with their best albums. And even though many of the albums that I saw on this list I am okay with, and I'm actually okay with many of the placements, especially in the top 10, I thought that it would be fun, to make a video talking about the things that I really didn't understand the placement. With that being said, guys, let's just go on. Now, when I first jumped into this list, I was kind of amazed by the first album that popped on the screen. Lorde's Pure Heroine, released all the way back in 2013. I know a lot of people love Lorde, especially, a lot of people love, including me, love the album Melodrama, but I don't really understand how the Rolling Stones writers got to the conclusion that this album was the top 100 greatest debuts of all time. Remember that we're talking about, the top 100 of all time. Every single artist that has released a music album should be included in this list. They're a contender to be in this list. So to arrive at the conclusion that Lorde's debut should be in this list, and the surprises don't stop there really. At number 90 we have Drake's Thank Me Later. Now, to be honest, I don't really understand what the album has to accomplish in order to be on this list. Is it the popularity? Is it, the breakthrough for the artist? How groundbreaking the album was? How good the album was? How influential the album was? But the thing is, it doesn't really matter what you pick. This album has none of those. Drake's breakthrough came with Take Care. Drake's influence in the hip-hop music scene and the R&B scene came with Take Care, not with this album. And, the best album he released, the first great album he released was Take Care, not this album. So why is it here? One can say that, it's just a really good album and it was his debut, so it's here. But look at the albums that came before it. How is it that they sat down and they reached to the conclusion that, Nirvana's Bleach was a less important album than Drake's Thank Me Later? And can someone explain to me why 10 by Pearl Jam is better than LCD Soundsystem's self-titled album? I mean, I understand that the Rolling Stones is often eager to choose rock albums, and 90s rock and all that stuff. But to be honest, do you think that it's the same level of quality, and not only quality, but experimentation in the music? I'm not really sure if Elvis' self-titled album in 1956 is better than Black Sabbath's debut, or is even as influential. I mean, yes, Elvis' career was one of the most, influential careers in the history of music. But if we're talking about one album in particular, I think that Black Sabbath's album was way more important. By the way, according to these people, this album is better than this album. Don Omar's The Last Don is here too, released in 2003. This album was really important for the reggaeton scene, but number 50? I mean, not to be a hater or anything, but this album is not really enjoyable today. The production is really outdated, and even though it's history, if it's Latin music history, I don't think that's enough for me to put this album as high as number 50. Alicia Keys' Songs in A Minor, number 46. Even though I like this album, don't you think this is a bit high? And talking about reggaeton music, we have Bad Bunny's Por Siempre in number 41. Just above Songs of Leonard Cohen by Leonard Cohen, released all the way back in 1967. One of the most poetic albums ever released. But, it's not as good as Bad Bunny's album. Again, how was this list made? If it's based on quality, then surely Leonard Cohen's album is way better than Bad Bunny's. But if it's based on popularity, then okay, Bad Bunny is better. But if it's based on popularity, then Alicia Keys should be above Leonard Cohen. And if it's based on influence, what influence can an album that was released in 2018 can have on culture today? But the new albums don't stop there. We have Olivia Rodrigo's Sour. This album was released last year. Exactly how is this album here and so high as 38? And if it's about quality, I think it's pretty safe to say that many of the albums previously mentioned on this video are way better than this one. Just one spot above Olivia Rodrigo's Sour, we have Marquee Moon by Television, one of the greatest albums to come out of the post-punk scene.
Taylor Swift debut album, number 30
I don't really understand how this works. And they talk about this album on the list like it was something never before seen, that a teenager came to stardom singing country music, when it has happened so many fucking times in the past. You know, an album that shares almost the same amount of groundbreakingness and influence and, I don't know, just impact on the game as Taylor Swift's debut album? Illmatic by Nas, number 31, one of the most important rap albums of all time, if not the most important one. It's just one step above Taylor Swift. By the way, Control by SZA is number 28. Has anyone heard anything about this girl lately? I know I haven't. But you say, why is it a bad spot? You know, it was a really good album released in 2017. It had Travis Scott in it. Why are you hating on the album? Well, the thing is that one spot below it, we have no other than The College Dropout by Kanye West. Now, it's not the fact that they decided to put this album above Illmatic. It's the fact that they decided to put below Control. Again, how does it work? There was an attempt to put a Fiona Apple album on the list. Probably the part that annoyed me the most of this list, it has to be this one. We have The Beatles' Please Please Me, released in 1963. Not only was this album responsible of spawning Beatlemania, you know, one of the craziest fan base of all time. These BTS stans, this K-poppers have nothing on Beatlemania fans, okay? And all of that, all of the Beatles' history, one of the most important bands ever, and my personal favorite, started with this album. But the fact that you decided to put Invasion of Privacy by Cardi B at number 20, one step above Please Please Me, it's insane. We're talking about the Beatles, fam, and not only the album that's below it, also the album that's right next to it. We have Unknown Pleasures by Joy Division at number 19, just above Invasion of Privacy. This album, in my opinion, should be number 1. For me, this is the greatest breakthrough album that any band has spawned. This is one of the best albums of all time, more influential as well, more experimental. No other band has come even near to the sound of Joy Division, except, the same people from Joy Division in the New Order albums. And by the way, why is this album so high? I don't understand. Yes, it was a good album. It was a great album. 1968 is one of my favorite years for music. But damn, number 14? Frank Ocean being on number 13, it's a bit too much for me. I love this album and I do think it deserves to be in the top 20. But damn, I mean, if you look at the albums that came before it, it's quite overwhelming to see it at number 13. Billie Eilish being at number 7, I don't really have a problem with it. I know a lot of people love to hate her, but to me, honestly, she's really talented. This album is her best by far. This was obviously a breakthrough. I know that she was really popular before this album dropped and all, but this was like a peak for her. The best songs that she has released are in this album, and this type of sound was really influential, really. I mean, there are a lot of Billie Eilishes right now in the industry that took this album as a blueprint to create their own songs. I believe that in a way she somehow created a trend that has lasted years, because this album was released in 2019 and still today you see a lot of this album's mood on pop culture. The rest of the album, I don't really have a problem with the rankings. I think that a lot of albums were excluded unfairly. For example, I believe that 77 by the Token Heads should have been on this list, definitely. The same thing with the Beatles, I believe that Plastic Ono Band should have been on this list, as well as All Things Must Pass by George Harrison. Again, there's a reason why the albums are not included. It's because George Harrison and John Lennon had already released music in the past with the Beatles, but still, these albums were way different from what they were doing in the Beatles, so I think, they could have been here perfectly. By the way, I don't really understand why The Who wasn't here. It's unexplainable. And also, Kendrick, fam, Section 80 deserved a spot on this list. Yeah, it did. I would also say Eminem, maybe, as well. At the end of the day, it's the Rolling Stones' opinion against mine. I don't really have a problem with many of the spots picked on this list. Actually, most of this list is really good, and I really do recommend almost every single album that was included on this list. I just think that, they missed a few essentials that should have been here, but because of stupid rules, they weren't added. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That will be it for today's video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the videos that I upload. Also, I leave a link down below if you want to see the list for yourself and give me your opinion on the list. By the way, now that I remember, no Nick Drake on this list as well. That's fucked up. With that being said, I really hope I can see you guys soon with another video. But until then, bye.